This pigeon is a CIA spy. It's wearing a tiny high-tech camera, and it's about to gather intelligence on Soviet nuclear submarines. This is a dolphin.
Wait, is this real? They actually used... Wait, they put cameras on pigeons? All along, I thought that it was a meme that pigeons were fake birds that were created by the government, and their eyes are cameras, and they don't even actually exist. That's what I thought the thing was. That the birds are fake. I thought that was... What does adapt was right mean? Charles Darwin, pigeons adapted to use cameras. What?
Right now, it's being trained to carry bombs and attach them to enemy vessels, possibly miniaturized nuclear bombs.
Had a whole arc on pigeons. Okay,
this
I didn't know about
raven
that.
isn't just flying around. It's on a mission. Currently,
why do you think birds stop on power lines? They stop to charge. Birds aren't real is a fake conspiracy theory to make fun of conspiracy theories, but also the government does use them to spy. Okay.
It's heading towards the hotel room of a KGB agent.
Pigeons aren't indigenous to NA.
And this cat
Very
has been
suspicious.
sent to spy on a Chinese diplomat. It had a microphone surgically implanted in its ear, and there's an antenna in its tail. This all sounds like science fiction. But animal spies
the cat's gonna report
are very
back?
real.
What?
Their stories have long been shrouded in secrecy, myths, and legends. But in 2019, the CIA released a large trove of previously classified documents. They give us a glimpse into how the CIA tries to weaponize animals. Today, we will look at the 4 most spectacular projects. They reveal a story of Cold War paranoia, unchecked hubris, absurd waste, spectacular failures,
this still happens?
and wild ideas that were taken too far.
She probably thinks parrots only talk because they're mimicking sounds.
Most of this video is based on declassified CIA documents.
Oh, wait. To be fair, I think it's understandable that I didn't know about this because up until last month, I thought the CIA was fake.
Of course, the CIA wants to present itself in a certain light, and it's careful about what it reveals.
Whatever.
Some parts are heavily redacted, and sometimes other sources give conflicting information. We can only present what we know, and if we don't know something, we'll be transparent about it. As always, you can find our sources in the description.
True Grin, thank you for the new Prime.
Humans
Welcome.
weaponize animals to make use of special capabilities.
No, I thought, okay, the CIA thing, I thought it was just like a potentially not fake. I didn't know the CIA was just like openly existent. I didn't know they were just like, yeah, like we're the CIA. I thought it was like a secret, like underground thing that may or may not exist that people are like, it definitely exists. But then they're like secret and they're like, no, it doesn't exist. I thought it was like that type of thing. Cause everything I've heard about the CIA is that they do seemingly very illegal things where I'm like, no way, they're just like, yeah, we're the CIA. But I see now.
They themselves lack. A dog's sense of smell is up to...
Fuck you mean? Okay, what do you mean, oh god, she was retarded? I'm sorry, I don't know much about the fucking CIA. Why the fuck would I know about the CIA? Hello? Sorry, I was busy attending college to learn about the CIA.
To 10,000 times
fuck? You're suspicious for knowing about the CIA, actually?
Than ours. It's perfect for sniffing out illegal drugs. To cross the Alps and invade Italy, the Carthaginian general Hannibal used war elephants.
And
During
I'm
World
Canadian.
War II, the Polish army deployed a brown bear named Wojciech to the Italian front. In Iraq, the US military worked with dolphins, putting their unparalleled echolocation skills
I
to
wonder
use
if I could be a
detecting underwater
CIA
mines.
agent.
And some work with animals is veiled in secrecy. By their nature, it's hard to tell exactly how far these programs have progressed. In 2019, a beluga whale was discovered in Norwegian waters wearing a camera harness. A tag identified it as belonging to St. Petersburg, Russia. It was quickly accused of being a spy.
What do you think the the C in CIA stands for? It's Canadian.
In 2007, Iran apprehended 14 squirrels near a nuclear enrichment plant. The animals were arrested as spies.
Wait, don't arrest the animals!
A senior military advisor told journalists that Western nuclear spies had been using lizards to collect information about Iran's nuclear program.
Why do they have to arrest the animals?
Animals have an inherent advantage that human spies lack. People simply don't
Free
notice
my
them.
boy Squirrel 4.
Unlike human agents or advanced technology like drones, animals can typically pass undetected, even in secure areas. But there's a problem. Animals are not natural spies. They need training. During the Cold War, the CIA faced a mighty adversary, the Soviet Union. In trying to claim the upper hand, the agency explored all sorts of methods, their weapons, stealing Russian
How the CIA stole a Russian submarine.
submarines. and,
I know about
course,
that one.
animal agents.
I don't know if we watched the second one or not.
In the mid-1960s, the CIA launched Project Axiolite. The goal was to provide reliable trained avian vehicles for...
Since you guys know so much about the CIA, do you know how they get to decide the names of the operations? Is it just like one person that's like, this name would be cute? Like, how about Axiolite? Like, Axiolite sounds fancy. Whatever sounds cool. It's just random. There's no actually like code reason or something. His name is John Operation.
Placement, transport, and...
Yeah, or like they have like a marketing department for like, I don't know, they have like a socials manager. And they're like, yeah, this one's really trendy. We can announce this operation to the sound of I'm not cute anymore. And it'll go viral. Trust me.
The recovery of reconnaissance surveillance sensors to meet operational requirements as defined by the sponsors. In other words, the CIA was training birds to transport things like recording devices. But which birds were spy material? There were several candidates, some stronger than others. The cockatoo seemed to be a wild card. One memo states, "We are completely in the dark as to what the possibilities are in regard to this critter." There were high hopes for the hawks. Brandy and GB are two of the program's hawks. They were especially reliable and determined. They could locate specific objects or features in strange territory.
They're reliable and determined.
They could carry a 13-ounce package for more than a mile.
Jeez.
They could even remove objects from a harness they themselves were wearing. But in general, they were not considered strong flyers. Horned owls respond to a high-frequency whistle and can be recalled by trainers, even in extreme low-light situations. But in daylight, their ability to discern objects is much worse than that of other birds. As time progresses, one unlikely candidate stands out. Doodah, a raven.
Doodah!
We now know that ravens are extremely intelligent birds. They have excellent memories, can plan for the future, and are capable of using tools and solving puzzles. Researchers have found that 4-month-old ravens can perform certain cognitive tasks, as well as adult-grade apes.
Nagasaki.
CIA documents usually stick to dry facts, but Doodah was Project Axiolite's superstar. In one memo, an agent dedicates a whole page to the saga of
They can learn how to
Doodah.
speak words?
Project Axiolite began at a Navy facility at San Clementine Island, off the coast of California. There, the CIA tested the strength of various birds. Their task, fly from the island to a boat and back. This might sound easy, but the distance was challenging, and the winds could be strong. Most birds can manage to fly between 50 yards and 1.5 miles. Doodah, meanwhile, flew 3.5 miles. A few months later, he was almost doubling that distance. He was also problem-solving. In every session, he would figure out exactly the right altitude he needed to fly for the unique wind conditions. Aggressive native birds posed a major threat to the CIA trainees. Wild gulls and ravens soon figured out their training schedule. Once they knew when the CIA birds would show up, they would lie in wait and then attack. But Doodah solved this problem too. To avoid the gulls, he'd keep to a higher altitude and outfly them.
That's crazy!
The wild ravens were another matter. They would hide behind the bluffs, waiting for an opportunity to attack. Doodah's solution was to engage in brief dogfights with the ravens, while leading them further and further from shore. After about a mile, they would give up and turn back. Ravens' intelligence made them good at more than flying.
Wow.
According to Navy animal trainer Bob Bailey, they could be taught to recognize specific desks, open drawers, and carry heavy objects like file folders. The CIA started training ravens like Doodah extensively, and eventually used them in the field. According to the CIA documents, this is how they did it. A CIA agent wants to record a secret conversation.
I'd be so pissed if my raven got hurt during a fight, though.
He knows where and when it's taking place, down to the building and the exact room. Now he needs to get a recording device close to the conversation, as inconspicuously as possible.
I can't take Doodah seriously.
To do this, he goes to a nearby building with a view of the targeted location, no more than 300 feet away. With him, he has a trained raven.
Recognize a desk.
At the appropriate time, he aims a tiny flashing laser at the window ledge outside the room where the conversation is taking place.
I'm eating Tim Hortons.
Then he releases the raven from its cage. The bird takes a disguised listening device in its beak and flies to the spot indicated by the laser to plant the equipment. The agent then turns on a special desk lamp to signal to the raven that it's time to return. Later on, the raven is sent to retrieve the recording device by the same method.
That is fucking insane. How?
To return. It's a disguised listening device in its beak and flies to the spot indicated by the laser
How is that even
to
like a
plant the
thing?
equipment. The agent then turns on a special desk lamp to signal to the Raven that it's time to return.
How do you communicate that? Like, okay, when I turn the light on, it's time to come back. I wouldn't even presume that. Like, if I was going somewhere and I was gonna go back somewhere, I wouldn't know to go back when they turn the light on without like talking about it, you know?
Later on,
how would I know that's the code?
My birthday watching
the Raven is sent to retrieve
Happy birthday, Ryan!
the recording device by the same method. At least, this is how it's described in the document, Operator's Manual, Avian Delivery System. In real life, things didn't go as smoothly.
I guess so.
When ravens were molting, they couldn't fly comfortably. One put the listening device on the wrong windowsill, and when a device made it to the right windowsill, the microphone picked up so much ambient noise, the recording was useless. The document suggests that this whole technique was only used a single time, and the attempt seems to have been unsuccessful.
Sugar, thank you for the Prime. Balloona, thank you for the 4 months. Anonymous, thank you for the 20 months.
Duda's luck eventually ran out.
Thank you. And Krillin,
One
thank you
day
for
he
the
was
gift of
attacked
stuff
by a
earlier.
pair of wild ravens he'd fought many times before.
No, they were fucking...
All 3 birds disappeared from sight, and Duda never returned. He was presumed killed in action.
Dude, why were
The
those
saga of
birds
Duda Morris's
stalking
loss.
him?
He was in a class by himself, writes his trainer.
What the
He had a very
fuck?
large bag of tricks and was loved by all. In view of these talents, I suppose I shouldn't have been too surprised when he so quickly became a star on this project. In spite of our deep sense of loss, writes the anonymous agent, we do understand such tragedies are inevitable. Ravens aren't the only birds the CIA used as spies. In secret locations across the United States, Project Axiolite was also busy turning the humblest of birds into covert eyes in the skies. It's September 1976. Aerial photographs show the Soviets building nuclear submarines in Leningrad, but the CIA needs more information. Spy planes fly tens of thousands of feet above their target, while satellites are restricted to space. From these distances, it's impossible to take detailed high-resolution photos. Enter pigeons. A pigeon could fly about 100 feet over a target any time, day or night, and regardless of the weather. Most importantly, no one would notice it, and they could clearly be trained. Pigeons are no strangers to war. During World War II, the British National Pigeon Service would drop cases of the birds over occupied Europe. People would send them back with information about daily life or even military details like troop movements.
I don't understand how they know where to go.
Instinct. Anywhere you release a pigeon, it can find its way back home.
Never mind.
Even today, this ability still isn't fully understood.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
To exploit pigeons' natural talents for aerial photography, the CIA's Office of Research and Development created special 16mm cameras and harnesses for the birds to wear. The harnesses were made of leather and attached to the birds with adjustable Velcro tabs. They were designed to allow the birds full freedom of movement while holding the camera steady during flight. The cameras were lightweight and miniaturized. Each had a small battery-powered motor that advanced the film and cocked the shutter.
It's like they have a little fucking
Each camera had its
GoPro.
own timer. When it went off, the camera would take pictures for just a few minutes, resulting in 150 to 220 photos. Together, the camera and harness weighed just 39.5 grams.
Dude, pigeon live
To
stream would
produce
actually
useful
sick.
images, pigeons needed to fly directly over their target at exactly the right time. But this could be difficult to arrange. Once they were released, the pigeons would fly back home in a more or less direct line. If the target was located on that line, there was a fairly good chance the pigeons would fly over it. But in covert situations, it wasn't always possible to release pigeons in ideal locations. Some areas were restricted, others were too exposed.
Yeah, this is actually so crazy to think about because this was happening in 1976. So like 50 years later, that's half a century later. Like they must have even crazier tricks nowadays to spy and shit, right? You guys know what they do? Drones, computers, phones, satellites. They can install mics in any animal basically. How good do you know your dogs?
To get around this problem, CIA handlers tried to teach the birds ABC flight. Point A is the point of release, point B is the target, and point C is the pigeon's home loft.
Yeah,
to begin with, temporary targets a short distance away were established at point B. When they flew to these targets, the pigeons
Where's my other dog?
were rewarded.
He's delivering
Over time, they were
info.
conditioned to expect this reward. Next,
I'm fine, it's whatever.
the reward at point B was eliminated, but to receive a reward at point C, they had to fly over point B first. And that's how they trained a pigeon to move from A to B to C.
Wait, did they talk about the peanut? Oh, reward. Peanut is the reward.
But to receive a reward at point C, they had to fly over point B first. And that's how they trained a pigeon to move from A to B to C.
No.
Once the birds were conditioned, they moved on to longer training flights. Inflatable white radums 20 feet in diameter were used as Point B. The CIA trained and tested birds in lofts in Oregon, Virginia, Missouri, and Alaska. Alaska, it was noted, shared certain geographical features
Espionage
with areas
for
of
peanuts.
interest in the Soviet Union. The
Just
training
keep hitting your
yielded
knee. It's
mixed
just my
results.
desk.
Birds were often lost along the way. Some birds simply flew away. Some
Oh, yeah,
were
that's
killed
what I
by
was gonna-
wild birds.
That's what I was gonna
On
say.
the longer training flights, many birds flew
feel
too
like a
low
lot of them
along
just
freeways
would
and were
just
hit by
leave.
cars.
No!
Birds sometimes disappeared while wearing the special equipment that had been developed for them.
Tapped hates these.
Losses were time-consuming and
Yeah, people have
expensive.
been
Each time a bird
mentioning
was
him
lost,
and
a new one had to be
pigeons.
purchased and trained. Some of the photos taken were very high quality. Some missed the target entirely. They could be relied on to complete their
So
ABC
tiny.
mission only about 1 out of 4 times.
Fafa? Oh, his name's Fudge.
A C flight still held potential, though.
I call him
If the
Fafa.
release point was chosen carefully,
Chinese nickname.
with the target area between it and the home loft, CIA analysts felt there was a high probability the birds would fly over the intended target
Hi,
and
Chad.
obtain the high-resolution photos required. In the Admiralty and Sudomek
So
shipyards
clean.
in Leningrad, now known as St. Petersburg. And it needs high-resolution photos. An agent will have to release the
so
pigeons with the shipyards
confusing.
between himself and the pigeon's home loft. To do this without being detected will require clandestine release techniques. The documents mention 3 that are considered as options. One is releasing the birds from underneath a large overcoat. The second option is briefcases and shopping bags with trick bottoms. The third option is this Volkswagen Beetle. A hole is cut in the
Volkswagen!
floor. When the car is parked, pigeons are released through the hole. They
That's
waddle out
German,
from
by the
underneath
way.
the car and immediately take flight. The operation is to go ahead by August 1978, but here the trail goes cold. It's unclear whether the operation actually ever happened. The documents
The
don't
one
say.
trying to bark but sound like a chain smoker is Fafa because he has asthma.
While the CIA's birds may have gathered invaluable aerial photo insights, other agents were being trained to sabotage enemy ships.
He's just like
This
me.
is James W.
I cough,
Fitzgerald.
too.
He's an engineer and physicist. It's 1964, and Fitzgerald has been thinking about dolphins.
I don't
a
know
lot.
about the dolphin shit. I can't
At a cocktail
wait.
party, he mentions that he believes the animals could be used in warfare. The person he's talking to happens to be an admiral in the U.S. Navy. He's intrigued enough to introduce Fitzgerald
Admiral. Wait, hold on. Admiral. What do people like him for? Admiral. So do they tell him they admire him? Admiral.
someone from the CIA.
I can't think of
Around the
another
same
one,
time,
but you get what I
the
mean,
TV
right?
show Flipper debuts. It's about a crime-fighting dolphin in a marine reserve in the Florida Keys. Like most dolphins, Flipper is smart and friendly to humans, and he responds well to commands. We'll never know whether Fitzgerald and the CIA were inspired by
Fuck you! Time you out. Admiral? You mean subtractmiral? Admiral? 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 Why don't we subtract them?
According to the Washington Post, at this point, the CIA sends Fitzgerald to Florida, where he establishes a small laboratory.
Fuck, that's good! Time out. Oh my god, no, that one's so good.
Cocktail party, he mentions that he believes
Hold on.
the animals could be
Okay.
used in warfare.
Okay.
The person he's talking to happens to be an admiral in the U.S.
Admiral? I don't do drugs. Admiral? I haven't taken that since college. That one's good, right? I like that one the
Navy.
best, I think.
He's intrigued enough to introduce Fitzgerald to someone from the CIA. Around
Admiral? But I don't even have ADHD.
the same time, the TV show Flipper debuts. It's about a crime-fighting dolphin
Sorry.
in a marine reserve in the Florida Keys. Like most dolphins, Flipper is smart and friendly to humans, and he responds well to
Flipper?
commands.
I hardly know her.
We'll never know whether Fitzgerald and the CIA were inspired by Flipper, but it is plausible. According to the Washington Post, at this point, the CIA sends Fitzgerald to Florida, where he establishes a small laboratory. The same year, the CIA begins its dolphin program, Project Oxygas.
See, that is like a crazy, like, you know what I mean? Like the person who came up with this, I wonder what they were thinking. Like, why is it called oxygas? Like, is it an acronym?
The aim of Project Oxygas is to show that dolphins can be used in attacks against enemy ships. To this Tori.
Wait, I need a goodbye.
The same year, the CIA begins its dolphin program, Project Oxygas.
Oxygas? I usually take it in pill form.
The aim of Project Oxygas is to show that dolphins can be used in attacks against enemy ships. To this end, harnesses and nose cones are created to allow the dolphins to carry items.
That's good.
Someone in the CIA even produces this drawing. The dolphins are happily towing the explosive devices given to them by their handlers on top of the submarine. The program quickly passes
Wait, I'm not paying attention to what's happening. Hold on.
This end, harnesses and nose cones are created to allow the dolphins to carry items.
Oh, okay.
Someone in the CIA even produces this drawing. The dolphins are happily towing the explosive devices given to them by their handlers.
What? Happily?
On top of the submarine.
How do you know they were happily?
The program quickly passes its first test.
They were happily?
It demonstrates that a dolphin can place a simulated explosive device against the propeller of a PT boat anchored in the open sea.
Yeah, like they love bombing shit.
In November 1964, the Deputy Assistant Director of the Office of Research and Development writes that Project Oxygas has progressed more rapidly than we anticipated.
Drawn on the nose.
It's unclear exactly what sort of simulated explosives these dolphins were carrying.
That's true, they probably were
The sentence that specifies this is partly redacted. The CIA probably planned on using conventional explosives, but if this was the case, why the need for secrecy?
Yeah, why?
A 2021 article in Popular Mechanics suggests a haunting possibility. In 1965, miniaturized nuclear weapons might have seemed achievable in the near future. The magnitude of such an idea would certainly explain the need for continued secrecy. The program's first success unlocks other goals. Trainers explore having dolphins place listening devices on enemy nuclear submarines.
How the fuck do they know where to drop it?
The hope is that directly attaching the devices will produce high-quality recordings that allow the CIA to better understand how the enemy's subs work. But wild animals are hard to train. One of the dolphins' strengths is how social they are. They're willing to work, especially as they bond with their trainers. But at some point, this becomes a liability. If the dolphins are performing tasks that please their trainers, then in the field, they'll need extra time to bond with agents before they can be considered reliable. There are also questions about whether dolphins can carry out operations over longer distances. At some point, the CIA seems to realize its limitations in understanding the dolphins' capabilities, and it contacts the Navy's Office of Naval Research to help. In 1967, the program's focus changed to intelligence gathering. The dolphins were to be trained to travel great distances, at least 12 miles. They would retrieve dead drops, items or information undercover agents had left behind in the water to be picked up.
I can't believe they're able to do
September
that.
14th that year suggests that Oxygas had become a joint program of the CIA and the Department of Defense. The CIA seemed unsure that Project Oxygas would produce actionable results, and the program seemed to be running out of steam. A make-or-break demonstration was
running out of steam when the thing is called Oxygas.
Scheduled for December. At that time, it would be decided whether Project Oxygas would continue. The demonstration seems to have been a failure. After that time, there are no further mentions of the program in the CIA documents.
That's it. Do you think they're still using dolphins?
Surviving drawings and photographs gives us an idea of what Project Oxygas might have looked like. Glimpses of Project Ketchel are far more rare. But between the redactions, a hazy picture emerges of likely the oddest creature the CIA ever created.
Acoustic-Kitty!
This is Acoustic-Kitty.
Acoustic-Kitty. What I call my pussy as an autistic person. Decent, right? I came up with that one all by myself.
Acoustic-Kitty is the legendary project of Project Ketchel, the CIA's dog and cat program. Of all the CIA's animal projects, Acoustic-Kitty might have been the most controversial and the hardest to corroborate, depending on who you believe. The saga of Acoustic-Kitty goes in fundamentally different.
Wait, I can't say that. Okay, my cousin just left. Acoustic-Kitty. Acoustic-Kitty? What? Well, Acoustic-Kitty? Well, there's no electricity down there. Acoustic-Kitty? Acoustic-Kitty is what when When it's so loose, it becomes a cavern. And you go in and you say echo, and then there are acoustics. Acoustic kitty. How about I need to Google something. Acoustic kitty. Why don't I just talk to it normally?
Kitty when Fuslie uses her guitar.
Stupid.
Here's the CIA story.
Get it?
In 1964, the agency wanted to be able to explore conversations held out in the open.
Like a
Think
cause.
two Soviet agents having a conversation in a public park.
Okay. That's a timeout. Acoustic kitty. Why? Wait, hold on. Acoustic kitty, but why? It did nothing wrong.
Park. That required getting close and focusing in on the conversation without attracting attention. The solution is cats, who can often prowl around without people ever noticing them. A microphone is surgically placed inside a cat's ear canal. A transmitter is placed underneath a bunch of loose skin, and an antenna is woven into its fur. The whole procedure is low risk, humane, and minimally invasive.
Oh,
but the cat is still a cat. It can be trained only so far. Eventually, it will do what it wants. Acoustic Kitty was never deployed in the field, and the listening devices were carefully removed from its body.
I don't.
But Victor Marchetti, who was special assistant to the CIA's deputy director in the
non-invasive and humane it
1960s,
sounds.
tells a very different story. Here's his version. It's sometime in the 1960s. The CIA puts a Chinese diplomat in France under surveillance. But their bugs don't just pick up his conversations. They record all the noise in the room, including the squeaking of the couch. Individual voices are inaudible. This is characteristic of the microphones of the day, which tend to record everything around them indiscriminately. The anatomy of ears, on the other hand, allows us to focus on certain sounds and exclude others. This and your brain's auditory processing abilities are why you can have a conversation at a noisy party without being overwhelmed by every sound. When Acoustic Kitty turned its head, it would direct the microphone inside its ear. According to Marchetti, to implant the equipment, they slit the cat open, put batteries in him, wired him up, including putting a power pack in his abdomen. The tail was used as an antenna. They made a monstrosity.
That's
to
horrendous.
focus on a single conversation, Acoustic Kitty would need to be trained. His handlers found that hunger or sexual arousal would cause him to simply lose interest and wander off, so they attached wires to his brain to monitor and neutralize those impulses. Marchetti claims the CIA did attempt to use Acoustic Kitty in the field.
Called it humane.
The cat was then put on a test,
and non-invasive?
sent across the street to eavesdrop on a conversation,
Putting something
being monitored by a van loaded
in
with
its
equipment.
stomach?
And as this poor little monstrosity waddled across the street, a taxicab came down and ran over it.
No!
So it was $25 million down the drain. $25 million was a lot of money then. The CIA disputes all this. On its website, it claims that Marchetti's comments were meant to be a joke, and the unclassified documents are no help. The single document about Acoustic Kitty is heavily redacted.
What do you mean back
The
then?
CIA didn't just train and transform animals, it also recreated them. This looks like a dragonfly, but look closer, it's a machine, the Insectothopter. The CIA created this
Okay, this was a less creative name, I have to say.
tiny gas-powered
Way less creative than the one that sounds like axolotl.
listening device back in the 70s.
It sounds
It
like
contains
a
microphone,
villain.
and it can flap its wings rapidly and fly just over 600 feet in a minute,
Insectothopter.
guided by
Why
a
is
laser
it
beam.
thopter and not copter? Why is it insectothopter? I don't understand the thought part. Like, I feel like if you're gonna go with like a cliche name like that, you would just do. Oh, it's called a thopter for 4 wings? Oh, I didn't even know that. Copter is rotary. Thopter means wing in Greek. Oh, I had no idea.
A remarkable technical achievement with some serious limitations. Even a light breeze can throw it off course immediately.
Dude, this is so creepy though.
It was never used operationally.
Because if this is what we do know about the CIA and what they do, like imagine all the shit we don't know. It must be even crazier.
In a memo, the CIA's deputy director of research and development wrote that unfocused experimentation in the animal programs
this was in
represented the
the
worst kind of
70s.
waste in terms of manpower and money.
Ooh.
The unclassified documents often
Scary.
suggest that the CIA was simply exploring what animals could do without having any real objective in mind. And the results are somewhat disappointing. Ravens were trained for years just to be killed by wild birds. Pigeons randomly disappeared with gear worth thousands of dollars. And depending on who you believe, an expensive cyborg cat was at best useless in the field.
They ain't
and at
even allowed
worst,
to talk about it
immediately
after
hit
they
by a car.
retire. I don't understand.
The declassified
Like, okay, if I'm imagining like, if you imagine being a CIA agent who like knows all of this stuff, like imagine going to work and then going home to your family and then your wife or husband is like, honey, how was work? And you're like, can't tell you. And you just have, but then like, this is obviously your whole life. So it's like, you can't even, you can say you're a CIA agent, right? But you can't tell them that you're you can't tell them anything. I guess it would make sense if you were a CIA agent to also be with another CIA agent. So you guys at least chat about anything. Do you think CIA agents, like, what do you think CIA agents' hobbies are? Do you think they go golfing? Do you think they like play games? Like maybe a CIA agent, they have like LAN parties with each other at the office for like Friday night.
Documents suggest that by the mid-1970s,
You
the
only
Animal
tell
Project
people you are in the CIA if your position allows for it.
had fizzled out. Despite this disappointment,
Do you think CIA agents watch Twitch? Like, do you think there's a CIA agent here right now? Scary! Hi!
the quest to weaponize animals continues.
I
The
used
United
to play
States
with one
Defense
on
Advanced
Tarkov.
Research
That's
Projects
sick.
Agency, known as DARPA, has been running programs aimed at controlling insects for espionage. In 2012, a team at MIT announced that it had developed a neural probe that plugged into moths' nervous systems, allowing for their flight to be controlled. Engineers at the University of Washington have implanted moths'
I'm watching a CCP agent as
antenna
intelligence
into the
gatherer.
smellithopter, a drone that can actually pick up smells.
What
And
do
in
you like to
2018,
do
DARPA
for
announced the
fun
Persistent
when you
Aquatic
have
Living
time
Sensors
off?
program. The program explored the possibility
Do you want to play League Duos with me? I'm a support main. Do you play ADC?
of using aquatic creatures as living alarm systems. That includes bioluminescent bacteria, which light up when disturbed by aquatic intruders. Another
Ooh.
option was to study the sounds produced by snapping shrimp and Goliath grouper. In the case of the shrimp, disturbances in the
I'm so
audio
scared of ocean
could even
stuff.
indicate the size and shape of an intruder. It remains to be seen whether DARPA or the CIA can harness the natural world for intelligence purposes, or whether
DARPA.
wilderness will remain just that. Maybe someday we'll discover whether any real success stories lie within all those redactions.
So scary. I wonder how you get into this. Like, what leads you to like wanting to go into this field?